charming flower snake, national treasure, python mountainate cat head and abdomen, disappeared Joe family. The inevitable, fragile bush goose. What kind of zoo can keep so many high care level creatures at the same time? My name is Dongqing, and welcome to Berlin, the capital of Germany. Here witness the rise of the Kingdom of Prussia. Experience the unification of Germany again. However, outside of the profound humanistic history, the city is also world-renowned for its love of animals. The most famous Mozambican zoo in the city center is the Berlin Zoo, the first zoo in Germany. Next to him is the Berlin Aquarium, which has a historical status alongside him. Not far from here you can also visit a nature park with rich and important collections. Museum. And the one who was brilliant for a while, but now you can only watch it from my video. True Sun Temple. Berlin's animal stories are so colorful, and ours. The story starts from the other side of the city, in Berlin. There is another zoo in the southeast whose reputation does not match its strength. That is the East Berlin Zoo, built in 1955, although it is smaller than. The West Berlin Zoo is more than 100 years younger, but its area is the same. 5 times of that, plus the connection with the socialist camp, East Berlin. The zoo is not only the largest urban zoo in Europe, it is also home to many. The paradise of Asia's 5 kinds share Dongqing in the first season of the Berlin Voice series. I will take you into the Luxuiji, hidden deep in the East Berlin Zoo. Great city work. Alfred Brehm Pavilion. In the middle of the last century, it was known as the largest and most modern building in the world. Indoor animal house, the entire venue is shaped like a spaceship carrying projects for harmonious coexistence of man and nature. Not only is it a rare place in the world that fully respects amphibians, the breeding environment of reptiles is an ark of gems for many species. Next, I will introduce you to the Asian treasures raised here, and interpret for you a century and a half of technology from Brehm's time to the present. Accumulation. Entering through this door, you can see the very modern 5,000 hall of many square meters. This is the result of renovation and redesign 2 years ago, with a total cost of 9.6 million euros. The road rental boxes on both sides of the nest gallery house amphibians and reptiles from Asia. There are spaces for displaying large mammals at both ends of the pavilion, and in the middle. It's the tropical hall, and in the season finale I'm going to take you inside. Feel the beauty of life flying freely. Now let's go back and visit the first Luzhu township. This film looks like a dry environment. The dry vegetation and the sunlight introduced from the top of the net are also very strong. This beam of sunlight can not only enhance the brightness during the day, but also become an alarm clock to wake them up. But it's still early now. The residents inside haven't gotten up yet. When it's the warmest time in the afternoon, you will saw a very familiar face. They have the pattern of a radiated deer turtle but are much smaller. Yes. In addition to the radiated deer turtle on the Falklands, the new turtle from Myanmar also has the same new pattern. But why is it that a Southeast Asian country like Myanmar is not in a rainforest? It's so dry. In fact, the Ayeyarwady Valley where Burmese stars live and the hot and dry valleys in the Hangguan Mountains of China have a similar situation, although they are close to water sources. However, the climate differences caused by the topography cause the local temperature to vary greatly from night to night. As a result, they have to move around in the morning and dusk in order to be able to move within the limited time of the day. In time, if they find enough food, they will be in their territory. Driving at high speed is very similar to the radiata turtle. It takes turns in the morning and afternoon. They are active all the time, but their little tails are fully retracted when walking. It can also be used as a crutch when you stand up and shake it. They can be used in dry places. They move in the environment because they are very old. High heat basking spots near the ground and outside walls are no longer a burden. But the hatchlings can't stand the heat. They don't have it all year round. They like to be dry, like Radiant Seal Star and Biscuit Su Bao, who are also about to reach adulthood. Only those who are willing to stay in a dry and hot environment for a long time are asleep and a squirrel-like animal. Go over and check it out. But why does it feel like its face is longer than that of a squirrel? In fact, compared to squirrels, they may be far away from us taxonomically. Humans are closer. This little guy jumping back and forth in the trees is... The northern tree canals are widely distributed in Southeast Asia. In the past, tree canals were, generally speaking, together with hedgehogs, swallows, rats, and canals, they are classified into the order Deca, and the latest studies have shown that tree lemurs are actually larger than the mouse lemurs we talked about. It is closer to the ancestors of primates, so it was assigned to the climbing tomb. Using their images, we can imagine that in the age of the dinosaurs the common ancestor of the. While walking shyly among the branches and leaves, I delved deeply into the cultural background. Their English name is more like a pseudonym. They climb up a tree in shame. Do you remember the word blow shy and want to run and jump shyly? Just having strong limbs is not enough. This flat tail, similar to that of the treetop eagle, is used for their activities in the air. Important balancing tools, they also clean up as carefully as paper monkeys. Keep it fresh and light. This is a speed-first species. Specializations on the tail. What if it's a species with limited speed? Let's continue heading southeast. Next to it is a luxurious exhibition area with panoramic glass and wooden walls. The interior is very open, with ginseng and creepers crisscrossing the ground. Herbs not only indicate that the interior of this road rental box already has a relatively complete business environment, can also explain the household heads inside, and they don't often trample on the lawn. That's right. They usually only live in trees. Precision. Rough hair, prehensile tail. Yellow-green eyes. There are also giant claws that can hold each other. This mysterious species is native to Indonesian Sulawesi. Band cats have cats in their names, but in fact, they are banded animals that are closer to koalas and kangaroos, but because they live in seclusion in the primeval forests of Su Island that are difficult to penetrate into, it is very rare to see it in the wild. Dumby's body is also in captivity. So currently, there are nearly single-digit zoos around the world. Their sensitive character makes them still reluctant to get close to tourists because in the wild, they live in the rainforest, and they can often grow as large as 10 meters on a tree. As mysterious as the cloud rat I mentioned before. So it's not an exaggeration to call them cloud-banded rats, but in the DD rainforest, wetter and hotter, in order to stay in the slippery branches covered with epiphytes. Their hands were also painted for climbing. You see, his hands are very similar to those of a koala. They are both facing each other and have claws. Thicker and thicker, it only takes a few months to seriously wear out the thicker ones. Can the paint rack be done with just claws on the tree with this general grid? Compared to you koala, they also have a fixed device that can be grasped. That tail is even more extreme than that of a tree porcupine. You see, the front half doesn't even have any hair, it's completely turned into rough skin. In this way, it can not only be used as an armrest, but also can be used as a foot. When they are nearsighted, they will use this powerful tail to wrap around the tree trunk. Fix your body position with your feet, and then stretch your front body out to grab food. Like many tree species, they also eat leaves as their main food. This is Gary, an 8-year-old boy who just found the right one. What to eat? Now that you have secured yourself, put the leaf into your mouth with your hands. This is their dining ritual, but want to see them eating, and it's not easy because their eating time is very short. I may only have one bowl of instant noodles for each meal, so from last year to now, I only saw this once. Not everyone can see it. Scene. After eating for a while, we went back to find a place to rest. After all, you see, the threads are rough and you need to spend 15-16 hours sleeping every day to digest them. If you live well and eat well, reproduction will be a matter of course. When they first moved in last year, Gareth was the only one who usually went up. The only time I saw them honeymooning together was with their 9-year-old sister Dizzy. I was sitting outside cleaning my childcare belt, and I was thinking, does this behavior mean that he is happy? Sure enough, at the end of the year, the zoo officially announced that Dizzy is raising a baby. When we meet again this year, this kitten has grown up. You see, the little guy's color is lighter than his parents. He is. Mom will fall asleep quickly on her back. If she wakes up, the family will take 3 exams. I often come out like this and sit in rows to watch the tourists. Or sit in a tree and watch the keeper cicadas eat. Although bringing a cat gives people the impression is mysterious and solitary. But in fact they have family values. After an adult cat chooses a partner, they will basically live together. After the first generation of offspring, the mother will also have an 8-month-old baby even. It takes longer to teach them how to survive until the children are independent enough. Will leave parents to start a new family. Just with rainforest deforestation and illegal hunting, it's getting harder and harder for them to find their other half in the wild. Although there is only one baby per birth, every newborn represents humanity. The deepening of understanding of it and the progress of Value's career are bit by bit. Accumulation is the turning point against extinction. Chance encounters are easier said than done, especially with rare species. Because the number of breeding sources is small, even if a captive population is cultivated. Faced with low diversity in the gene pool, resulting in weak resistance to risks. Hidden dangers. For example, there's a species like this living next door to the cat. A one-way miracle of evolution. It can actually happen in the cold and humid native mirror. The subversion field grows to over 2 meters long, but it does not win with brute force. Instead, I rely on the exquisite moss riding and bait to be impressed by the narrative among the trees. Radio is rare in number, and its whereabouts are mysterious. There are only 400 to 500 of them distributed in a small mountainous area of more than 100 square kilometers. Even researchers rarely see it in the wild. It is known as one of the most exciting snake hunts in the world. Mongshan ape cat head father. In the past it was named after Mongshan Iron Head. Featured in the news media numerous times. If it looks familiar to you, it means you do have this fate with it. Okay. Then let's take a look at what kind of executive suite the national treasure lives in. This one. The environment is 4 meters long and high. The middle and lower spaces are filled with plants, which are both shelters and climbing objects. Simulates a corner of the jungle in the middle and high-altitude mountainous areas of Asia too. Plants grow vigorously above the environment corresponding to the glass roof of the venue. On flat days, you can cover it with skylight. On cloudy days, you can use lamps to fill in the light. Temperature and illumination can provide circadian rhythm. Audiences who have been familiar with it may ask, doesn't Mongshan always move on the ground? Yes? What is the use of this climbing space? Now please enjoy the exclusive content prepared by Mongshan Yuantafu for my audience. Climbing show. The young man climbing towards the branch in front of me was the one who moved to the branch 3 years ago. The captive offspring that came here is the most active one in the family of 3. Although he is not small, he is quite agile in the trees and can often. In the evening, I saw him changing positions and sometimes reappearing on tree trunks or tree top. His figure may remind people of bamboo leaf green. Yes, Mongshan. When it was first described, it was classified as bamboo leaf green. Therefore, it also had the title of the largest bamboo leaf green, but in the subsequent classification, Li Dingzhong discovered that there are too many differences between Mongshan and Zweiking. Especially the body shape is compared to most petite and delicate Zweiking adults. The python mountain can actually exceed 2 meters. It will definitely be difficult to hunt in trees when you grow to this size. After all, they are still too bulky compared to pure tree snakes. And they either have the strangulation skills of pythons nor the speed of oil snakes. How can you eat 2 meters? In order to obtain it with the lowest risk. Enough food, they need to develop another eating skill from an early age. One morning last year, I was surprised to find this expert tree climber. I actually succumbed to the grass. I had a hunch that something might happen next. Something unusual. Look what this tail is doing. In fact, it has always been. The white tail of the python mountain is said to have the function of trapping prey. Related video materials are extremely rare because they are shy and introverted. If you don't trust the environment enough and disturb them a little, they will stop this behavior. Therefore, even if some people have witnessed it, they don't have time to take pictures. During trapping, they will twitch the tip of their white tail at a certain frequency. A small worm that simulates crawling. Attract birds or small mammals. White and colorful patterns attract them. It blends seamlessly with the ground. Its green eyes can also lower its head. Recognizability even if the thickness of the head and tail is clear. It can also be integrated into one for faster attack. There is another detail. It's worth noting that's where it's at. It didn't choose to be branched. The other side of the blockage, and choosing to hide here shows that it is possible. Realize that this is the area with the widest viewing angle in the entire venue. And it can sense the presence of glass because it's completely aware. Even if tourists are so close, they can't get close enough to hurt it, so Mongshan, who was originally shy, would not be interrupted by others. It shows that it has a clear understanding of the layout and boundaries of the entire space. These strategies and judgments do not mean that pythons are more powerful than other snakes. Instead, it should be said that humans are not smart enough. Because they have always been like this. We just underestimated them in the past. Potential labels them with one-sided standards, and only full respect and understand their living habits. Only then will you be allowed to enter this world where fun and unknown coexist. Mongshan. The achievements of overseas conservation are inseparable from the experience of German mainland experts. To be called an expert in Germany, one does not necessarily have to have an academic background. They are not the group of people who can afford to raise more animals. They want to become experts on the deer family. Decades of breeding experience are the basis, and progress must be maintained. Posted. Only relevant papers will be respected by everyone, and the next person to appear. Species is also the masterpiece of its own experts. It is the rare darkness. And black tree crab from Aru Islands, Indonesia. This is the only zoo in Germany where you can see them last year. They rarely come down. The couple either sun themselves under the lamp on the 4-meter-high roof to keep warm, or they sleep at a height of more than 3 meters and never go near crowds. You see? Their tails also have tree-like specializations. The aura is so flexible so that they can be used as a noose on the tree trunk. From the time they settled in 2019 to the present, they have not been allowed to completely accepting tourists. From this shy characteristic, I seem to be able to understand why such a mature and breathtaking wilderness like theirs. Research progress is so slow. Because they're really hard to observe, but this spring, things. There's a turning point. Maybe it's become extroverted, or maybe it's breeding season. Under the stimulation of the spray forest, one of the male statues was particularly active and warm. The scope not only extends to the middle and lower floors, but they even dare to run up to the glass. Explored. These overly extroverted behaviors hint that there may be new surprises waiting for us. Finally, one morning a few days later, all of the tourists present didn't notice that the black tree above him was behaving differently. You see, he is twisting his lower body, trying to use the base of his tail to pull. The tail of the bottom one is raised up. It is even rare to use black trees to gather their habitat. It must be their mating behavior. This is something you may not be able to see when you come to the scene. There is no Himalayan yet. It's time to take action. There are suitable arrangements that can successfully induce mating. Temperature control and wind and rain space are also very important, so that the female star can. They choose whether to avoid male stars. The permanent sense of security makes them be more honest with each other. Gradually moving towards the next step, 30 or 40 minutes later, this union will be come to an end. Although the black tree monitor lizard is hard to find in the wild, thanks to the relatively mature breeding experience of relatives in Tong Yeshu, the conservation of black trees is not a difficult problem if this method of reference is used. Many species can be successful, and another example lives next door. The thick and strong rubber tree hints that the species inside are not only capable of. I can climb trees without being too small, and I hope the residents here are. Everyone needs to know. If you are still watching, please gather in the barrage and I will be here carefully. When searching for traces of lizards or snakes in this environment, what is in front of you? In the pool, a small turtle with an unattractive appearance appeared, right? It feels a bit like a yellow monkey, but something seems wrong. It doesn't matter. No. It's normal to know it. Because it has never been recorded in the wild and is an extremely legendary species. The Zhou family must return. You heard me right. The description of this species is based on individuals bought at the vegetable market. Academic circles even speculate that the reality will be in the millennium. The Zhous before and after are probably the last wild population. Their habitat may have been completely destroyed, but even if not, field data, relying solely on successful cases of the same species, the Germans also. I successfully deduced the breeding method, just relying on the breeding team of each tree. A population of 3 trees was cultivated, and now 70% of the world's artificial crops are. They all come from the Mr. Zoo in the west, where this 2-year-old. What a precious hometown. Because he just moved here not long ago, he is very shy and is willing to wait for him to come out. There are even fewer tourists. When the venue becomes quiet, it's sometimes lying on the edge of the pool, quietly observing the passers-by outside, I thought. Seeing him once is really different. Unexpectedly, one afternoon I found out. He is actually eating a piece of snake leg. The turtle family is all pure. Eat both meat and vegetables. And I'm not surprised that there are snakes here. What's surprising to me is that he even eats other people's peeling skin. Maybe this kind of behavior would happen in the wild. It happens often. Unfortunately, it's hard for us to verify it anymore. Where is the original owner of this snake leg? Let's take a closer look at the hole above the pool. He hides here most of the day. This sad snake who is truly happy and peaceful wants to see his beautiful figure. It requires not only luck but also patience. When the tourists disperse in the evening, only the sensitive one will poke its head out of the hole. Stretch your body. Patrolling the territory, this red-headed and green-bodied snake is particularly beautiful. It's the most difficult species to care for in the whole world. It was also the first snake I got to know when I was a kid, the elephant snake. This is a large species native to China and the Custer Mountains of Vietnam. Colubrids are civilized with fairy colors and graceful figures, but wild individuals However, the mortality rate in the first year of Guanyang is close to 100%, which is regrettable. This is the artificial offspring that was moved here 3 years ago. Yes, this one is huge. Space plus an environment that strictly limits high temperatures throughout the year. In fact, it was specially prepared for it. Because when it comes to flowers, only by going all out can we succeed in raising them. Baiwa is an out-and-out giant apricot snake. In the wild, it will hang at a height of tens of meters. High middle-aged cool man hunting bats near Custer Cave in ecology. In terms of position, they are as unique as Mongshan. They all specialize in one kind of life. Weigh and follow this large-scale style, but if they also get with the same level of attention as Mongshan, is it still so difficult to raise? Here is the answer. From activity space and shelter area to light, heat and temperature and humidity control, yes. Respect from all aspects has resulted in such stable breeding results. If this is your first time seeing flowers, you can explore in such a relaxed way. Environment. This scene is worthy of your participation and witness. In fact, just like the achievements in Mongshan Weekly, Germany was also among the first to achieve it. A country that breeds hundreds of flowers daily. But what's different from the first two is that even though he is the author who has published a book that can teach people how to grow flowers, he also told me, no one can guarantee that this kind of snake can feed every one of them. And the hatching rate is still much lower than that of similar species, which shows that there are still too many secrets in me. From embryonic development to physiological ecology, it may not be applicable in many aspects. Common sense can explain it, but it is a pity that until now, there is still no institutional board. Try to provide them with a really suitable environment. I understand someone taking with a compassionate heart. I don't want them to become just a few pounds of meat in the vegetable market. But the knowledge and hardware required to save Baiwa are not academic. You can do it when the time comes. On the contrary, this kind of transaction will become an incentive for wild men. Now Baiwa is. The situation in the wild is still unclear, and conservation policies are on the road to improvement. Rather than buying them to practice, I recommend that people who like them develop them. The habit of reading literature and constantly updating knowledge with the highest standards. You should pay close attention to relevant research and results from various countries. Time, we will naturally find ways to help them, because in conservation field if there is no solid knowledge base, well-intentioned people will act. Become a perpetrator. Such a tall environment is not exclusive to Baiwa. In the wild, you can also crawl into caves with bats and blackberries. The kind of golden snake in front of you is the Taiwanese Asiatic snake that is most common in Germany. Compared to Baiwa, blackberry's personality is much more outgoing, especially when the weather is nice in the summer. You can often see them out and about. Baby, we can see them in a nearly wild environment. Relatively complete activity needs. They will spend time walking around on the ground. I'm also happy to climb up to a high place and bask in the sun. Or just looking at tourists from a high position, but they can be raised together. It does not mean that flowers are easy to grow. This only shows that blackberry is highly adaptable. Blackberry can conquer all terrains. Only low-temperature sectors at high altitudes will hold them back during the day. They will go to warmer places to stay warm and forage, often alone. The mouse's escape route was traced to a different world where humans gather. It is easy for us to form a cognitive bias and think that they only like high temperatures. But in fact, this is just a part of their lives, low temperature and high temperature. It is also important for them, in a general aerobic environment, from 25 to 25 during the day. 28 degrees, basking around 30 degrees is enough to keep them warm at night. It's best to lower the overall temperature by 5 degrees, like in such a large space, top and bottom. The temperature difference is so big that blackberries can heal and move. Dynamically adjust the position according to actual needs, while Baiwa only likes temperature changes. The low ground floor only occasionally climbs to a higher place to keep warm in the morning. Then they will return to the low temperature area soon. Therefore, although the two of them seem to living together and raising them are all about the same difficulty, but to truly achieve this, what makes a harmonious scene is an environment that gives them a variety of choices. And if we don't consider species characteristics and use the same raising method, let's see who passes. Die faster to judge whether the pair of animals is easier to raise or not. Understanding will only stay at a very shallow level. After all, millions of years of evolution didn't just change their skins, they were different on the inside. It requires you to have a lot of knowledge input and keen observation skills. Interpretation methods. If the animals in the video pique your interest, please read and learn instead of buying and raising them. This is a more scientific way to get started. Okay. This issue ends with 2 golden snakes. I wish everyone a happy new year. A bright future, good health, and old rules. This episode has over 10,000 likes. The excitement will continue next week. I will take you to visit Germany in the next episode. This is the seat of continental studies. We must not only conquer the most difficult turtle, we also need to see how the national treasure lizard is treated, and identify them together. Disguise. It's no use braiding your nose. I am Dongqing, the voice of Berlin Season 1. The second season will be updated soon. Please forward it and tell the animal nicknamers around you. Unlock a new world with Win.